Good morning, everybody. This is Bethany Hughes with the Esquire Fowler Academic Library, Menominee Public Library, and we are back again for our Brick Stitch Hoop Earring tutorial with Janice for our Breathe and Bead today. And yeah, we are all, I think we're all ready to jump in. We are even starting our talking about learning about all sorts of things. And so now focusing back on our hoop earrings. So, all right, Janice.
All right, I'm going to adjust my screen here a little bit. So I've got my iPad going again. I've got my camera set up for my handwork. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. It's nice to be in this little circle again, this Zoom circle. I am going to be demonstrating some other ways of finishing or working on your hoop beaded earrings. And you know, because you know the basic stitch and how to do these now, it'll be really easy for you guys to figure out how to put space in between them, like the sample that I have here. I'm also going to show you how to make a little point, like this design here will be the points instead, you know, having like a triangle on top. So you'll catch on real easy, and the videos will be available on the website for you to go back to. And I do know that this past the last hoop earring video, there were quite a few requests to watch it, and it's like, oh, you know, because it wasn't put up yet. So that's because there was quite a few different things I was showing you, and I was hoping it wasn't too confusing, but like, you know, weaving, zigzagging in and out to get to a different spot. That was kind of like, I felt really bad that I wasn't explaining it good enough. So I was hoping that the video was going to work out for you all. So anyway, the sample you have here is the straight first row purple, and then the straight red row. I've got a gold in between there, but that's another straight row. And then the third row, it has two, and then you're missing one, and then two and missing one. So I am going to go ahead and show you how to do that. And that'll also be the technique of you having to get from one spot to the next spot by zigzagging down through your work and coming back up again. That's all it is. I will also show you another demonstration of making the point on. That will be involved with this one here I started. That one's ready to show you how to put the point on top, the triangle on top. And then I also show you, I don't know if you noticed, but on the flyer, this sample here has the rows coming out from each other. And when I showed you the sample from last week, we had the rows going in from each other. So this way we ended up, you know, adding two and then going over two loops to start. This way we'll be adding two and going in the first loop to start. And that will push your beads out. I didn't know if I liked this type of design where it was shooting out towards the top. But I'm kind of liking the way it looks. But I'll show you how to do that part of it. But all the other samples I was showing you is that step back in instead of shooting out. It's a subtle difference. You don't really notice it until someone points it out. It's like, oh yeah, those are started differently, aren't they? It's kind of easier doing it this way. I showed you the hard way to do it. But now that you know how to do the hard way, it's going to be so much easier for you to do this one. So I'll show you how to do that one at the end, okay? But first we're going to start with how to get that third row in, or if you're going to start another row, how to put some space in between there. This actually is the beginning of the point, the triangle one, but I'm not going to show you that on this one. I'll show that on the other one. I have the sample to get started on it here. I'm right at the end where I'm going to start my third row with my two on top and space in between. So I need to put my needle back on. I've kind of switched needles back and forth. I used to have one needle for each of these samples, and I don't know what happened to them all, but get this in place. Oh, I gotta put my glasses on. I can't see a thing. So I also suggest that if you want to continue doing these, try different hoop sizes. And, you know, like I said, we had a really large hoop for the start of this. It wasn't intended.
Hi there, Melinda Cook, please. One moment.
Who's that? Can someone?
Yep, she's muted now.
Okay. So yeah, if you can experiment with the different size hoops. We just got a large one. We weren't sure what sizes we were getting, and they happened to be large because we ordered them online. So don't be frustrated with this long process because it's a huge hoop. You can get some smaller hoops if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this off by putting in the very last purple bead because I'm finishing up, very last red bead because I'm finishing up my red and gold piece. And remember that if it gets a little blurry, that means my zoom isn't automatic and I have to adjust it. So I apologize if it gets blurry. Just let me know. It's blurry, I can't see. So I just finished my second row. And that's where I'm at. I'm coming through that last bead. Now I'm going to take, I'm going with gold for the second row, the third row. And I'm going to take my 2 beads that I'm going to put in there. So I got 3. I'm going to flip my work over. Wait, no, I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to go over 2 loops. So remember what I said? There's 1 loop in between each bead. It's like where the thread goes from one bead to the next. So that's 1 loop, 2 loops. I'm going to go to that second loop and go through just like you did with the start of the other one, right? You always start with 2 beads. Then I'm come back up through that second bead. And that's it. That's all you do. That first bead, it pops in real nicely. Remember how it kind of normally will fall to the side like that? And then I have you do that zigzag in and out by going back down through that first bead and putting it in place. You don't necessarily have to do that. Because I don't know, for some reason, it just stays for me. But now I've got to get over to this 1, 2, 3, 4th bead because that's where I want to start my next 2 beads. So how do I do that? I go through my first bead, zigzag back down, and down again. So I went through 3 beads. If you can see that. I went back through the first bead, down through the second bead, and down through the 3rd purple bead. I'm kind of making my way down, and then I'll make my way over. I'm going to come back up through my 4th purple bead next to it. Trying to work around my camera here. And then come up through the 4th red bead where I want to be. Wait, let me adjust my hands here. This is where I want to be. I want to skip a loop. Skip a bead. If that makes sense. And now I'm ready to do my next 2 beads. My next 2 gold beads. Should I do that again for you guys? It's basically the same thing, but instead of coming back up to start your next bead next to your second bead, you have to zigzag down, zigzag over, zigzag up, and skip that bead next to there. You go to the next one, so you're up and ready for your final two. I could draw it again for you as well. Let me put my needle back on because I just lost it. And then you're ready for two more beads. And then that's where your space is, because you went over a bead. Two more gold beads. Let me zoom this. Go over two loops, right? Because you got two beads on, you want to go over 1, 2 loops. Same thing, go underneath that loop, come up through your gold bead. See how that is crooked? That's what happens. You got to go back down into it, and that's okay because you're working your way back to your next space by going through. I go diagonally. It doesn't matter which ones you go through as long as you make it your way over to that bead you want to come up in. So see how I went diagonally? That seems to work for me the best. Sorry, my hands keep moving over to the side. And then come back up through the bead right next to it, and then come back up through, skip a bead, come back up through. I'm going diagonally again. So it seems to be a diagonal process. Okay. And then you're ready for your next two. Skip 2 loops, 1 loop, 2 loop, come through the second loop. Back up through your bead. Go through that crooked bead, diagonally in to the bottom to straighten that little soldier out, and also to make your way over to, whoopsie, I didn't go to the right bead. Look at how that didn't straighten it out. I'll take my needle off, pull it back out, and put it in the correct one. It looks like I had to go over to the gold one. So I usually take the back part of my needle, find that loop. There's 2 strings in there, so you got to figure out which string is you got to tug on in order to pull your tail out. And you know what? It's really tough right now. And I think I went through, oh, there it goes. I thought I went through my thread and split it. I hate that when that happens. All right, so I'm going to go back, thread my needle. So I hope this is making sense for you. The start of it is just how you start your second row. And after you get that second row started, that's when you zigzag your way down to get over 1 bead. That's all you're doing is just going over 1 more bead so you can get that space. All right, so come back here and go through the gold one underneath, and that will straighten it right back out. And sometimes it's your beads are on here so tight, mine are anyway, it's hitting the hoop, the needle is, and I can't get past that hoop. It's really tricky to do sometimes. Okay, go right to the next bead and slanted over to the bead that's 1 past there to get that space. Okay, and that's it, just over and over and over and over again. So I will show you, once I'm done, how to finish that row. So let me quick switch over. All right, pretend I went all the way across. Well, I did go all the way across on this one, and I'm right at the end now. Okay, I started here and all the way around, and now I'm at the end. Okay, I still have a tail. What do I do with it? This is what I usually like to do. I like to, instead of knotting it right there, I will go down, I don't know, maybe I'll go down 2 beads. You can pick and choose how many you want to go down. Whoops. And that's where I'll knot. My strings are getting all messed up here. Okay, so I'll go down 2 beads, and then what I want to do is I want to pick up that thread that's right inside of there. You can feel it. You can't see it, but you can feel it. My needle is tucking up underneath that thread. And I'm going to pull through, and then that's going to give me a loop on my thread, and I'll show you the loop. It's coming up. Here's the loop. Go through that loop with your needle, and then that's going to give you a knot. And then just pull tight, and there's a knot in there. That knot will find its way inside the beads, and you can't see it. And then you just kind of zigzag around back and forth. Try not to miss any beads when you're zigzagging, because you'll see a straight piece of thread, like going from here over to like this one. You'll see that it'll be kind of like strung across, and that might be an eyesore for you. You might not like that. So when I zigzag, I always tend to just go from right next to the next bead and zigzag up and down, in and out. I probably will go about maybe 4 or 5 beads away, and then I will take my scissors and I'll pull and cut at the same time, because when I do that, it is going to make my thread bounce back into the beads, and I won't have a tail, I won't have a schnibbly, nothing will be showing. Everything is hidden inside of the beads. That's how you can finish your pieces off and not have little hairy tails hanging out all over. It's hidden in there. It just popped right in somewhere. Okay. That's how you finish rows, finish your beads. So when you go back, let's see, which one do I have? This one here. When you start, you're always dealing with this beginner thread, right? This is your beginner tail. This is where I started my first row, first bead, and you tied it onto your hoop, right? You got this long little tail that's always in the way. And I told you before, I says, you can get rid of that later on if you don't like it there, or you can just leave it till you're done. So what I do for that, let's see. This one's easier because there's a knot right there already. You don't have to worry about knotting it again. All you do is zigzag it through your work and tie it off in a different spot. That's all there is to it for this one. The string that you start out with in the beginning, when you tie it on, there's a knot there already. Don't worry about it. Put it through. Oh, it just came off the needle. Put it through a zigzag and pull it when you trim it, and that'll pop that end back into the beadwork, and it'll hide itself, and you'll be all done. Some of you may have already figured that out. Some of you may have figured out different ways of ending your work. It's whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you learned from someone else. That's all fine. I'm just showing you how I do mine. So I come back through, I want to go back. And I'm noticing too, if my beads are darker, if I decide to skip 2 or 3 beads and kind of go across, I see that skinny white line stretched across in between the beads, and oh, that bothers me. So I ended up trying, especially with the dark beads, I end up trying to just zigzag right next to the next one, so I'm not crossing over beads too much. It's very tempting to do that because you want to be as far away from your knot as possible before you can cut, but try not to do that if you don't want to see those threads stretched across a whole 3, 4, 5 beads.
The term I've always heard for that is like following the thread path.
Yeah.
Where you're just gonna make sure the thread's going the right direction. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna see it all over the place.
Right. Okay, so another thing, I don't like to trim at the top of a bead because sometimes you can't trim close enough. You will have that little bitty hair that's comes sticking out all the time. If you trim inside of your work, it'll tend to hide itself better. That's my experience. So I'm going to go back down one more. So I'm in between rows, and I'm going to pull and trim right next to the work at the same time, and that's going to bounce it right back in. There's a little bit of it sitting out there. I don't know if you can see that. See that right there? It's right there. That will work its way in. A little white spot. So if you want, you can do that with your tail from the beginning, anytime after you start it and you have enough beads to work it through to hide it. I always just wait till the end, and it's kind of like the finishing touch. It's like, voila, I'm done. All right. So I hope I'm not going too fast or confusing you too much, but this piece here, I want to show you the triangle, the peak at the top design. That would be this one here. I went ahead and did my black row, and then I went to gold. Wait, yeah, gold, blue, gold, gold, blue, gold. And then it's going to go blue, blue. Oh, wait, I didn't do that right. I did gold, gold, didn't I? This is a totally different design. Okay, I'm not going to show you that one then. This is going to be a black bead on top. I'm choosing black because I want you to see something about a thread showing on the side. I'm going to show you 2 different ways of doing it where you can do it without, you have to do it with the thread showing. I'm sorry, this is the other process. Never mind, erase that. I'm confusing you more. I'm going to show you the peak, the tip, the triangle. This is the one where you will see a thread on both sides and of the bead, and you can't avoid that because that will always happen in any type of beadwork that you do. So I am at the end of my 2 beads on space, 2 beads on. I showed you that. I want to put one more on the top. So I'm going to take a black bead and I'm going to go pick up that loop in between those 2. And there it goes sideways, right? So you got to come back through it to pop it in place. And that's it. There's your peak. This is where you will see string on this side. You can't avoid it. Now I got to get over to the other 2 gold ones to get that peak on the other one, right? So what do? Zigzag down. So when I zigzag down, what's going to happen? I get a string on the second side. You can't avoid that. I don't know if you can see that. All peaks, all 1 bead applications will have that because you have to attach in a brick stitch, you have to attach that, and it's going to happen. I feel it's kind of an eyesore when you see the white string sitting on the edge, but you can't avoid it. You can avoid it, you know, when you do certain techniques, like when we did this one here, there's no strings on the ends. There's a way you can avoid that by putting 2 beads at a time. The 1 bead at a time, you'll always get that string on the end, on the edge, the back side edge of it. Okay, so I want to go back up to this second peak. So I'm just making my way. I got to figure out, you got to figure out when you're looking at your beads, where do I go down and up and down and up to get over there without skipping? So you just kind of figure out, let's see if I go up here. Oh my goodness. It's really hard to get your needle in to the beads that are next to the hoop. But I'm only going in the first row. Oops, going through the first row beads. I don't have to go up through the second row beads. I'm just going to make my way. And now I can go up to the second row and then up to the first row, third row where I want to be. And then the same thing. Pick up one bead, go through that loop, go through the bead, and tuck it in and pull it in place. Get over to the next peak. So you go down and zigzag your way through. It doesn't matter if you go through this bead or move over to that bead, either one when you're coming down on this one, it doesn't matter. And be very careful, try not to loop your string. Now I keep moving my hand over. Sorry guys, why didn't you just tell me, can you move your hand back over? I end up slowly going like this. I can see everyone's face, heads going.
Where's she going?
I know, and it's frustrating when I watch videos and I think the same thing. It's like, oh my God, can't they just keep it right in the middle of the screen? Okay, now I'm ready for my next peak.
Jess, have you ever tried another? So the way I've seen like the one bead peaks, they don't do it straight up. So you go up on your two, you go up, your thread's coming out one, put one bead on, and then you just go down the second one. So it's actually laying sideways. Have you seen that? Or
I haven't. Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So you're still seeing the thread, but it's like going through the beads. It's a little kind of hidden a little bit. You're not seeing it on the side
I
of the
think
bead.
that would bother me though, because I would see that the bead was laying in a different direction. When it comes to brick stitch, for me, they all should be in the same soldier-like direction.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I mean. I've seen other like brick stitch patterns with that style. So
Yeah.
It's a different way.
Right. But interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I
Now, that was the third thing.
If you have a small piece like this, that's not really going to get, it's going to get worn, it's going to dangle off your ear and it's not really going to get pulled on. Could you use like a colored sewing thread that would match your beads? Would that be strong enough? Or do you think that would just break?
No, you could. I mean, beading thread is stronger and that fire wire is really strong. So, I cringe when I see people using regular thread because it
would be too fragile then.
Yeah, it frays easily and breaks easily. And
Lindsay, they do sell different color Nymo thread too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want the black thread.
Good to know.
That's the thread I bought for the firewire. It's black, and I haven't yet used it because I want to see how it is on my eyes with trying to bead on something black.
Yeah.
Red blends right in, but they do have little sleeves of different, those small bobbins like you have. They sell those in different color beading thread.
Yeah,
Did you get that from Knock Bay or from a beading shop?
Did you ever shop on Etsy? ETSY? They have it on Etsy, I know.
Yeah, I think I've seen them on Amazon too.
Oh, they do? Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And
you can get like
not
big
that
schools like this
expensive.
in black on the Nymo.
Oh yeah.
I think the other multicolor ones are just in the bobbin size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people using the gold because they have gold earrings. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. But I mean, I'm looking at my finished piece and I'm like, well, if this was hanging on my ears, I guess I wouldn't see the thread too much. It wouldn't be too bad. I mean, this is the white thread. But that would be cool to have thread that matched. Okay, so let's see, one final thing I wanted to show you guys, and then you guys can show me what you got done and how you've experienced this process. So I want to show you how to do your earrings so they shoot out instead of that inward design that we did, like so. This is inward, this is out. There's a little bit of a different process. And I wanted to show you an experience. You can experience this if you like this way, this look. So here's my first row I finished. I'm ready to put on my second row of red ones. And I'm going to pick up the 2 again. As usual, I'm going with 2 because I don't want to have my white string showing on the edge. Should I show you that, how that works about with having putting on 1 bead? It's the same thing as putting on the tip, this thing. So I guess I don't have to show you because you actually saw the way that white string ends up on the edge if you put 1 bead on. So I won't go that way. I'm going to do the 2 beads. And now for the one detail that matters, instead of hopping over 2 loops like we would just go to the first loop. Just go through that first loop and look at what happens. See what's happening already? I went through that first loop and those 2 are already sitting up next to each other. I don't have to do anything. Then I just go through that second bead like normal. And that's it. Now you don't have to work your way down and back up or zigzag. You're ready for the very next bead. Oh, look at that mess. Oh, I don't like that when that happens. Happens a lot when you got a really long string, right? And that's it. You just keep going on and on. So, and when you go to your third row, you do the same thing. You put 2 on and then you loop in that first loop. And that will bring your third row back 1 more even, like this one. That's it. So if you like this look of them jutting out, that's how you would do that. If you like the look with them moving back, kind of like a smoother transition, see how that kind of slants back? Some people like that. You can do go 2 loops over. This one is go 1 loop. Okay. Any questions on that? Did anyone do it this way with the, no, you didn't because I showed you how to do the other way. Never mind. Try to do it once yourself. See what you like.
I've done both ways in other brick stitch projects, and I think I prefer the slant in, like going on that second
Yeah.
bin. I just
Yeah.
like that. But every now and then the overhang is needed, so for the design.
Transition really feels much smoother, doesn't it? This way is kind of, I don't know what it reminds me of, like a Egyptian necklace or something. I don't know why, but that shape,
Yeah.
that shape reminds me of that. So did you guys have a fairly stress-free experience with learning the brick stitch? How'd it go for you?
I've done brick stitch before, so I was kind of used to it, so I was kind of
Yeah, want to show me what you did? You got a sample?
sure. So I got 1 done, and I'm on almost done with the 3rd row. So this is, if I can.
Oh, I like that design. look like little flowers around there.
Yeah, so I was working off of a picture from Pinterest, and so I wanted to do the little triangles was my first thought with the green.
Mhm.
And what they did was like the one green and then your background color and then a contrast color. And the only other dialect I had was that pink. So when I did that, I was like, oh, it's too bright. And then I was like, oh, it kind of looks like flowers. So, so I
Yeah,
just
so
went with it.
tell us, you got one solid row and then the second row is,
It's two green, two black. Yeah, two green, two black, two green, two black.
so
On
then
the
the
second
next
row
third row.
is one green, one black, one pink over and over again.
Okay, and then
And
the
then
top
that
row is,
third row, I did the two over the pink.
okay, so you skipped 2 loops or 1?
Yeah, so I came out the black, it came out the black, and then I think I went one over. Trying to remember how I did that.
Look at the
Yeah.
loops. How many loops do you see in between your
So,
flowers?
yeah.
One,
So
two loops. Yeah. So you kind of went farther.
yeah, because I knew I only wanted that over specific ones, so I went out of one of the black beads next to the pink, and
Okay.
then made sure that they went over it.
Yeah, that's a nice design. I love it. So are you going to keep it at that?
Am I keeping it?
Yeah, keep it at that design. Or are you
Oh,
going to?
yeah. I'm
Okay, great.
working
Awesome.
on that.
Oh, yay.
So getting there. And then before we even did that, this is my other brick stick project I did recently. So
Nice. Fun, fun, fun. Is that going to be a pin or an earring or what?
it's hopefully a keychain. I gotta get my loops, my jump rings in here and then create a keychain. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Did you have to use graph paper or you just figured out your design on your own?
I copied somebody else's design from Pinterest. I looked at pixel art,
Yeah,
which works well with brick stitch. So
right, exactly. Oh. All right. Anyone else have one they want to share?
ooh.
Denise, you got, oh, you made, what is that? Let me see closer. Can you put it closer? Keychain. Oh, beautiful.
Thanks. It's a keychain.
Yeah, that's great. What does it look like on the back?
Just white.
White leather? Nice.
Yeah. So it's
Love it. Yep. So you got a cabochon. What is that on the cabochon?
it's a massage.
Okay. Nice.
Massage.
Beautiful colors. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing. That's great. Did you were you able to work on the hoop beaded earrings?
Yeah, I only got the second row. I'm only on the second row.
Okay, that's good. But you're figuring it out, huh?
I've been busy lately, so
I know. Tell me about it. Keep at it.
thanks.
Yeah.
I can share mine. I watched your video and I completed
Yeah.
my third row. I
Nice.
didn't get fancy, but kind of wish I would have now. But I
Right. Well,
didn't
it's your
get
first time, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Beautiful. I was expecting everyone to just do it one row color one at a time the way I did, because it's too much. If you're learning a process in the beginning, you want to keep it simple. Otherwise, you're going to get too frustrated. So those are beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
oh.
Now you got to do the second one then?
Oh, no, I did the second one.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
got them both.
Yay. Awesome. So do you have any tips on how you finish your beadwork, like when you finish an earring?
I just weave it in and out.
Okay.
And then I recently purchased a thread burner. So
Ooh.
that's my new toy.
Nice.
And actually I really like that because I like the idea of, well, I still pull it tight like you do with the scissors. And then it's just a little prong and it heats up. And you just touch it and it zips it, because I'm using that Nymo or that firewire thread.
Yeah.
So that little thread burner rips right through that, no problems.
Nice.
And I
Awesome.
got it at Joann's with their 40% off coupon. So
Ooh, all right. I'll have to keep an eye on that.
yeah, you just have to download the coupon and it's off of one item, 40% off one item. So it was like $13. And so I got 40% off of it. So
Yeah, they got
Nice.
good deals.
always looking for a deal.
Right. Anyone else have anything to share?
This is Julie. I can share. This is my first time participating in a Zoom beading. Actually, my second, I should say. And I want to, because my friend and I did one during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, beautiful.
There was the Mohican Family Center did a Zoom beading thing. So we did that, only we just had to watch the video on Facebook.
Mhm.
And it was pre-recorded, but this is live, so it's kind of cool. And I had to double task because I had to look at the first video kind of while I was watching the second video or watching this live one. And so I could figure out how to start. And I started.
Yay.
That's all I have to share.
Good. I'm glad you started. That's great.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
We'll do ours. Oh, you go ahead, Auntie. Okay. This is how far I got.
Oh, that's 3 rows you got done, huh?
Yes,
Nice.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it looks like you're getting it. That looks beautiful.
This is my first pair.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
And then I did this pair.
Oh, fancy. Look at those colors. How many rows is that?
4. No, 1, 2, 3, 5.
It looks like 5.
This
Yeah,
is so
5.
cool. Put it up next to your ear. Let me see what it looks
Oh, I
like.
don't know.
Ooh, look at that. Oh my God, those are beautiful.
I wouldn't wear them, though. They're too big. And I did a small one. I started this one, but I don't know. I got to cut the threads in that off. It's just a little one. I went to the smaller hoops.
Uh-huh.
And then I just started this one.
Oh, cool. Yep. Green Bay Packers colors.
Yep.
Nice.
So
So
I'm
was it
trying. So
Favorite
we got a
on
bunch.
bases?
We got a bunch of earrings at Family Dollar. They're pennied out, so we got a whole.
Wow.
I mean, they're the cheap ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Nice.
So we only
perfect.
got them for a penny.
You just swung 'em.
So we got a whole bunch of them for a penny.
That's
So,
great. I love it.
Always looking for the deals, right?
Yep.
Great. All right. Okay, so I guess we're just pretty much done then, huh? I think I've showed you everything I needed to show you. Well, one thing that I did notice when I was making my patterns, like this pattern, I end up having to go on uneven number on the first row because that kind of, well, this one isn't correct. I noticed I told you guys that too on these ones. I went uneven. I think because, and it was hard to figure out, I think because of the fact of how these ends end up, they need to be uneven. Okay, and the reason why is because, let's see, if I would go, let me get a pencil here or something so I can point. And you're going to have to play around with your designs too. If I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's going to be 2 triangles, right? Now, if I were to go 6, it like cuts off, it cuts off and it's like not even. So I ended up having to always go uneven number, and it happens to be, oh, okay, I gotta go 7 beads across to get that pattern. Because if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, it gives me that nice triangle. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm already into the third triangle. So play around with your patterns and your numbers. And I'm
So
saying I have to go uneven.
do I count the first row uneven
Yeah,
or do I?
first
I
row.
never even counted. I just did it. I didn't know we had to keep counting how many beads to put on.
Good. I'm glad they worked out. If you're doing these patterns with the triangles and then you want to
Yeah.
have a certain number and you want it to end up even on this side where you've got that final stage of 3 slanted,
Yeah.
this final of 3 slanted, it had to be uneven for me. And
So the first one has to be, the first row has to be uneven.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I found that out. My sides, one has that black outline and the other side didn't because my first row is even. There's 68. Which I didn't figure out until I was trying to figure out the second one.
Yeah, and there's ways you can fix that. You can just go back in, do another string, knot it, and then zigzag your way through, and then add a couple more of those beads on the end here to even it out.
I had to do that. Oh, well, not for the design, but I'm like OCD, so I had to measure my second earring up to my first one, and
Yeah.
I was short 1 bead, so I just used my tail to add that other.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I caught it right away on the first row, so then I just created another bead in there. So that was a good thing for me that I didn't tuck my tail in right away, or
Right. Good.
you know, it was still hanging out, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can fix it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea then. So here, that's a good lesson. Keep your tail on.
Yeah.
And that's also really speaks to knowing how to bead. And I've said this in the beginning when we first started this. Once you know the basic processes of beading, you can just do anything. If anything pops up in your work and you know how to fix it, you can start a new process if you know another process, things like that. So it's a good example. She knew exactly what she needed to do to get that other extra bead on there, and she did it. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's very, very good information for us all to hear. Okay, so that's about it, huh? Bethany, I mean? Anyone call you Beth ever?
Some do, yeah. Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Well, I just
It
want to
was-
thank you all for joining us again. I'm always hoping that this stays a smooth process for you and that you learn. I really enjoyed it. Bethany, you want to talk about the future? What's coming up?
Sure. So we are really excited. Things are going to be slightly changing in June, which on top of our summer reading program is going to be starting soon. It's a perfect time to kind of change up a little bit of what we're doing with this program as well. So in June, we are going to be meeting on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays at noon. And then we're actually going to be in person here at the library. So it's going to be a little bit different. And I'm not even, let me bring up my calendar quick so I can get you those exact dates. So the 2nd Wednesday in June is the 9th, and then the 4th is the 23rd. So the 9th and the 23rd of June in person at noon here at the library. So, and I believe we're going to keep doing the hoop earrings, but we're going to have, the materials and everything here for you guys to work on. So the kit idea is still going to keep going, but it's a little bit more of Janice will be here so you can, pick her brain in person. A little bit easier to kind of get those, all the little details and to see exactly how the needle goes. So
Yeah.
am I missing anything, Janice?
No. It's been really great having this on Zoom and being able to meet, with some of us, living out of state or living out of town. it's great to be able to have this venue and it's just blossomed into something different for us. When we first
Mhm.
started this at the library, it was, come on your lunch hour, bring your beadwork, let's share some space and let's kind of just hang out and chill. That's why it was called Breathe and Bead. Take a time out of your day just to bead, and, in our culture, in our traditions, it's always a good feeling to have that gathering, have that community feel, and to share in craft and to talk and eat and gossip. Not gossip. It's got to stay nice, everyone. But that's how we had started it. So when this pandemic started, it was we got to figure out how to do this. Let's try a Zoom. Boy, did we struggle in the beginning, it was all who can show up if you can, bring your beads if you can, let's talk about what we're doing. And that, we kind of like struggled with that even because it was like, well, maybe we should provide some beads for people to actually do something so we can do something together. So that became kits. And it became a lot of planning and it's just grown into this beautiful thing. But now that we're able to start doing face-to-face and the pandemic is the vaccines are starting up and we're feeling safer and everything, they're allowing us to, in limited numbers, to be face-to-face in person again. So we'd like to bring back that feeling of sharing space and community, but we're going to be still providing the supplies and the kits, and having that in-person one-on-one contact and sharing, and actually me being able to show you how to do things up close rather than on the screen. Oh my God, that's going to be wonderful.
So that's based on more how if you bring your glasses, if you focus rather than the camera lens,
Right.
right?
Yeah, right. We wanted to do it during lunch hour because, people cannot, take time off during their day because they work, and that's understandable. So bring your lunch, bring some munchies, bring your beads, and there'll always be beads there too and supplies for you. We have some packets from previous sessions too that will be available as well if you want to go back and work on something else that you might have missed. Okay.
And I think we have all of our past videos over the past, I think almost a year, if not over a year, on our Facebook page. And then I'm uploading the Brick Stitch ones on our YouTube channel as well. So all those will be available on YouTube as well. You can find us both on Facebook and YouTube, CMN Library, all one word. And you can find all those videos and then a couple other things that we're doing too on there as well. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. And we hope to see you in person next time.